The sky hangs pale and breathless, as if the world itself holds its lungs in mourning. From the eastern tower, the bell cries out once more, low, guttural, ancient. Not a call to worship. Not a summons to feast. But a dirge, tolling for flesh yet living. The frost has settled on every blade of straw, every rusted hinge, every lichened sleek stone. Beneath it, the castle watches without blinking, its thousand cracks holding centuries of silence. The man shuffles forward. His feet are bare, purple with cold, soles blistered from a night spent shackled to the floor of a cell that stank of mold, urine, and wet rope. His shift is torn, stained with sweat, with blood dried at the hem. He is not old, but suffering has carved age into his eyes. A boy once. A baker's apprentice. A thief, they say. Bread from the chapel kitchens. A cloak from the laundry. A smile from the wrong girl. The men who escort him are shadows with breath. Their hoods are stiff with wax and soot, their boots lined with fur and ash. They speak no words. Their hands are steady. This is not new for them. The rack stands in the center of the yard, coarse beams blackened by oil, blood, and weather. The rope coils like a serpent waiting to strike. It has claimed dozens. Perhaps hundreds. Names are not carved into its wood. The wood remembers without inscription. The magistrate appears, flanked by two priests. His robes are dark velvet, trimmed in fox fur, eyes narrow beneath a cap heavy with insignia. He does not look at the man's face. He reads from a scroll in a voice that grates like a whetstone on old iron. Accused of theft against the house of God and crown. Guilty by confession and silence. Sentenced by the ordinance of suffering unto penance. Let his limbs remember the weight of sin. A page nods. The scroll is rolled. The priests offer no blessing. The crowd shifts, breath misting in the cold. Mothers clutch children to their sides. Old men lean on staffs they once carried in war. A dog whines at the foot of a butcher, then goes silent. In the back, a boy no older than 10 holds a crust of bread in both hands, not daring a bite. The man is hoisted onto the rack. His wrists are strapped down, ankles spread and bound. The wood groans under his weight, a low, living sound. One of the hooded men tightens a crank. The rope slithers forward. The first pull is quiet. A pop, a joint slipping from its socket. The man grits his teeth. Blood rushes to his face. His breath fogs in rapid bursts. Somewhere above, a bird cries, unseen. The second pull comes without warning. A gasp, sharp and wet, rips from his lungs. His fingers tremble. But still, he does not scream. A woman turns away. A priest mutters something beneath his breath, scripture or superstition, no one knows. The wind picks up. It carries the smell of the man's body, salt, rot, and human pain. The crowd shifts again. The boy drops his bread. The third pull is slower, deliberate. A tendon snaps. The man's mouth opens wide, but no sound comes. Tears streak his face, mingling with snot, with spit. His legs twitch, then fall still. Somewhere in the crowd, a young squire whispers to no one, "He's dying." And yet, he lives. The bell tolls again. Slower. Heavier. As if reluctant to witness what it calls forth. At last, the crank stops. The ropes hang taut, slick with blood. The man is motionless, save for his chest, rising in shallow, ragged waves. His head tilts, eyes unfocused, but still open. A murmur passes through the crowd, not relief, not pity. Something else. Something old. Recognition, perhaps. Of pain. Of power. Of how little stands between justice and spectacle. The magistrate turns and walks away. The priests follow. The hooded men remain. One wipes the handle. One unties the man's wrists. His arms fall like broken branches. The man is lowered to the dirt. A cloth is thrown over his body. Not out of mercy, but to hide what has been done. The crowd disperses. Some in silence. Some in prayer. One woman kneels and begins to weep, though she doesn't know his name. The dog licks the blood-stained ground. The boy retrieves his bread. He takes a bite. Chews. Swallows. The taste lingers longer than it should. Above the gallows, a crow settles on the crossbeam. It cocks its head. Watches. Waits. In the distance, the chapel bell begins its morning chime. Bright, clean, holy. It does not echo in the yard. The man lies still. He will live. Perhaps. But something in him has already left. They say the rag is not made to kill, but to break. To unweave the soul from the flesh thread by thread. To make a man remember the weight of rules written by those who have never known hunger. Later, the boy who watched will write the man's name on the underside of a bench in charcoal. He will not tell anyone. Years from now, he will remember the gasp, the silence, the crow, and wonder who the true criminals were. Inside the keep, a new scroll is unfurled. A woman stands accused of heresy. The priests prepare the fire. A torch is lit. And from the ashes of a broken man, the flame of something darker begins to stir. The torch wavers. Its light dances across wet stone, illuminating steam that rises from rain-soaked earth. The sky is the color of pewter, heavy with sleep, and not yet stirred by the sun. Beneath that sky, in the keep's courtyard, silence stretches taut, waiting to break. She stands alone on the wood-draped platform, her knees barely locked, her balance fragile. Her cloak hangs askew over one shoulder, borrowed from a kitchen maid too frightened to refuse her. It smells of onions and soot. Her feet are bare, mottled with bruises and the imprint of shackles. Her wrists are bound behind her back with thick rope dipped in brine, now hardened, biting into flesh. And around her neck, a bell. No larger than a sparrow's skull, fashioned from dull gold. It gleams against her skin with a mockery of holiness. Its ring, soft and delicate, is meant to be a warning. A mark of the heretic. The bell is the chapel's voice now, not hers. The priest arrives beneath the platform, his breath fogging in the cold. His cassock brushes the mud, heavy with embroidered scripture. He carries a book too large for one man to hold, its pages stiff with age and ritual. His voice begins slow and measured, rising like incense, a passage from Psalms, or perhaps Ecclesiastes. The language is Latin, but its intent is clear. Judgment. Purification. Submission. She listens. But she does not bow. Her lips move, almost imperceptibly. Perhaps a prayer. Perhaps a curse. No one hears it. The bell rings once as her shoulders are drawn higher by the rope, arms twisted in pain. The sound shivers through the crowd. No one speaks. Women in the crowd clutch infants swaddled against their breasts. One baby begins to cry, soft, confused, then falls silent. The men stand still, faces carved from worry, regret, or grim approval. Many carry knives. Not for violence here, but for work to come, slaughtering pigs, skinning hares. Their hands are not clean, but this is different. This is ritual. This is sanctioned. A child hides behind her father's cloak, peeking out with wide, terrified eyes. Her fingers are clamped over her ears. A guard steps forward, his boots caked in last night's snow, now turned to grey slush. He carries the coppola, a flat paddle carved from older wood. Its edges are rounded smooth, but the center is rich, meant not to cut, but to sting, to crack, to shame. He raises it. It hovers in air like a question no one dares answer. Then, contact. The sound is thunderous in the hush. A dry, splitting thwack that breaks the stillness into shards. The woman jerks, her knees buckling, but she does not fall. Her teeth clamp down against a scream. Blood rushes to her face. The bell swings again, this time by reflex, and rings once more. The paddle rises again. And again. Each strike lands with methodical rhythm, the same motion repeated without urgency, like a craftsman at his trade. Her back blooms red through the linen. Her breath comes in ragged bursts. Her body shakes, but still she does not wail. Pain, when prolonged, becomes something else. It eats through shame and into something harder, something unyielding. The lady of the keep stands behind a filigreed screen of oak high above, in a gallery once built for musicians. Her face is bloodless, carved in marble silence. She cannot look away, yet she will not lean forward. Her hands twist in her sleeves. The priest stops reading. He knows what comes next. The final blow lands. The woman sags forward, nearly folding in half. The crowd leans forward, breath caught, but she does not collapse. Her feet remain rooted in the wool, her body swaying like a sapling in wind. Her hair is damp with sweat, tangled across her face. Her cloak slips fully from her shoulders, pulling behind her like a banner in defeat. The bell rings again. The sound is softer now. Not from mercy, but from distance. The ropes are loosened. Her arms drop forward. They hang limp, as though dislocated. Blood crawls down one wrist and drips, a slow patter onto the platform. The priest closes his book. He does not meet her gaze. Instead, he turns away as if the ritual is finished, as if the page has been turned. But it has not. The crowd has not moved. They watch the woman straighten, with difficulty. Her chin lifts, mouth trembling but silent. Her eyes sweep the faces below, searching, not for sympathy, but for truth. For memory. For anyone who will carry this moment when she no longer can. A baby cries again. A man coughs. A boot scrapes against stone. And then, above them all, a blackbird. It arcs across the courtyard in full flight, its wings slicing the morning. Its call pierces the quiet like a warning or a prophecy, sharp, insistent, otherworldly. Hates turn skyward. The woman does not. She already knows the sky does not belong to her. The priest retreats. The guard lowers the paddle. The platform remains, stained and holy. As the crowd begins to dissolve, no words are exchanged. No comfort is offered. The punishment is over, but the sentence has just begun. Her body will heal, perhaps. But her voice, already stolen by judgment, has no path to return. Later that day, a girl will dip cloths into vinegar and wash the platform, her face turned from the stains. A monk will whisper that silence is peace. And the lady of the keep will kneel beside her chapel altar and press her forehead to cold stone, whispering a name she once knew and cannot say aloud. The bell is taken down before dusk. Hung instead inside the chapel, near the holy water font. It rings only when the wind shifts just right, as if the memory refuses to rest. And somewhere, alone in a stone chamber, the woman sleeps. Her back bandaged in linen. Her mouth still closed. But her silence no longer belongs to shame. It belongs to fire. Because suffering is not the end. It is the spark. And from this spark, something deeper will burn. Something quiet. Something unrelenting. In the next chapter, the fire will spread. Night clings to the castle like wet wool, thick, heavy, oppressive. Wind claws at the battlements, flinging guttering torchlight against the inner stone like a painter gone mad with flame. Shadows stretch long across the bailey, gathering beneath arches and doorways, crouching in corners where no prayer has ever reached. A man stands in the open yard, alone but watched by all. His head is shaven, scalp raw and pink from the blade. His skin, pale where it is not burnt, is dusted in ash. The fine powder clings to him like ritual, like rot. Barefoot on frozen stone, he trembles, arms stretched wide, palms open as if offering his body to the sky. Or perhaps to whatever god remains awake in such an hour. Branded on his chest and back are letters that do not fade. S, seared into skin, twice. Once for sacrilege. Once for sinner. The air smells of iron and soot. Above, ravens circle the tower, silent for now. Below, dozens watch. Faces buried beneath hoods. Eyes hidden behind candle smoke. All of them still. The iron chair is dragged forth. Its legs screech against the stones, the sound unnatural, too loud, too human. It is a throne for the condemned, wide enough for pain, shaped for surrender. Leather straps hang like tongues. They are black with use, crusted at the edges. One is missing its buckle, it does not matter. The man is seated. He says nothing. Guards fasten his wrists, then his ankles. His body is thin, bones visible beneath ash and scar. He resists nothing. When the last strap tightens across his chest, he lifts his eyes, not in defiance, but in clarity. He knows what comes next. The priest steps forward. His robe is woolen, faded at the hem. Around his neck, a wooden cross carved with runes no longer read. His voice rises, not just in Latin, but Old English, the language of the dead and the buried. His chant echoes across the yard, through archways and balconies. Some turn away. Some mouth the words. The brazier is brought in. A young boy carries it. His face is too clean for this place. He does not meet the man's eyes. Within the iron bowl, the coals glow, a dim, blood-red breath of fire waiting to bite. The coals are placed beneath the chair. The man does not move. At first, there is only heat, soft, smothering, creeping up through the soles. Then, fire. It claws through flesh like teeth. His head jerks. His breath catches. The scream rips through him like cloth torn in two. It is long, terrible, beautiful in its agony. The coals spit and hiss. The smell rises, flesh, salt, old leather. It clings to the nostrils, invades the mouth. It tastes of pennies, of smoke, of endings. Somewhere near the gate, a guard gags quietly. A woman buries her face in her husband's coat. The man in the chair is still screaming. The branding iron is brought forward, its tip already glowing, red like the devil's kiss. A final chant. A lifted hand. The metal meets skin. It is not placed, it is pressed. It hisses. His scream is choked now, airless, hoarse. His back arches against the straps. The sound does not echo, it is absorbed by stone and cloth and sky. The iron lifts. The shape remains. The second letter joins the first. 2 marks, eternal. Flesh cannot forget what it is made to remember. Then silence. Not peace. Not release. Just a moment when agony exhausts itself and leaves only smoke behind. The man collapses forward. The guards unstrap him with practiced hands. His body folds like fabric. He falls to his knees. His foot is blackened, blistered, beyond healing. The smell is still in the air, thick as grief. The monk priest lifts his voice again. Let no lie pass these lips. Let no doubt cling to this flesh. The fire is justice. The brand is truth. His voice trembles. It comes too late. The coals sputter. The brazier shudders as though unwilling to continue its work. Somewhere above, a gargoyle catches firelight, its stone mouth twisted in frozen judgment. The man lifts his eyes once more. Tears streak through ash. His lips part, but he says nothing. His tongue is whole. His voice remains. But nothing comes out. Not defiance. Not regret. Only the sound of his own breathing, shallow and fast. The council begins to disperse. They move like ghosts in fur-lined cloaks. Their decisions have been made. Their justice delivered. They do not linger to hear the wind move through the trees, or the fire die beneath the iron bowl. A raven caws, once, twice. Then silence. 2 guards lift the man beneath his arms. His feet barely touch the ground as they drag him away. The path is marked by blood and ash. His head lolls, eyes opened, staring at something unseen. Justice, they say, is blind. But here, it is burned into the eyes of all who watch. As they vanish through the gate, a servant crosses himself with a trembling hand. A girl presses her forehead to the stone floor and weeps without sound. But something lingers in the bailey. Not guilt. Not redemption. Something older. The chair sits vacant now, its straps swinging slightly in the wind. The coals flicker, then collapse inward. Outside the keep, dawn is crawling toward the hills. It moves quietly, uninvited, bleeding silver into the dark. In the hush before birdsong, something awakens. Not in the priest. Not in the council. But in a servant, kneeling beside the bloodstain left behind. A spark. A thought. A heresy not yet spoken aloud. That perhaps the holy fire burns more than sin. That perhaps silence is not submission, but patience. And that somewhere in the scorched footprints of a branded man, rebellion waits, hidden not in shouts, but in the steady, slow breath of those who endure. A rope creaks in the breeze, though the body no longer moves. He hangs limp from the scaffold, his boots brushing gently against straw strewn to soak what dripped hours earlier. The sun is high, merciless, casting no shadow beneath the gallows. Around him, the marketplace holds its breath. Stalls of turnips, salted pork, and woolen cloth stand abandoned. Children are hushed. Dogs lie flat in the dust, uneasy. A sound breaks through. Not a drum. A throat. The jailer hums a beat, guttural and steady, like a rhythm learned long ago, passed down from hands that once held chains and ropes with equal reverence. He walks forward, his breath timed with each thud of imagined percussion. His face is expressionless, as if carved from the same wood as the scaffold beams. He reaches the body. Two others assist. The rope is loosened, and the man crumples into their arms, his limbs folding at unnatural angles. His neck, broken by the drop, turns slightly as they wrap him in linen, already soaked through with rust red. They work quickly. There is no ceremony. No priest anoints. No holy oil touches his brow. He is no longer a man, only consequence. They carry him through the crowd, over cobbles, past the inn, where no one leaves a mark in toast or mourning, past the chapel, where bells ring not for him, but for morning mass, past the baker's son, who turns his head and pretends he does not see, to the river. It winds beyond the village, slow, white, and ancient. A place where the clean met the unclean. Where fish once fed freely and children played in summer. He is placed on the grass. The linen is torn at one corner. A toe protrudes. Swollen, purple. Silent. The breeze does not move him. The water laps nearby, a tongue tasting the edge of guilt. No one speaks. This is not burial. This is erasure. A magistrate follows, scroll in hand. He unrolls it slowly, more for ritual than record. He reads aloud, voice dry and formal. Treason, he says. The word hangs in the air like a net cloud, buzzing, insistent. A crime not always seen, not always proven. A word that tastes different on every tongue. A voice raised against the king. A name spoken too loudly. An oath broken. A symbol drawn in the dirt. The villagers murmur. Not loudly. No one remembers exactly what the man said. Only that he said something, and that it reached the wrong ears. His banner had been torn from his home. His seal scratched from his door. His land, grazing fields and 2 oxen, absorbed into the holdings of the loyal. Now his body returns to nature, or to the river's slow forgetting. Insects swarm. A heron watches from the shallows, one leg lifted in perpetual stillness. The current is mild, almost tender. It reaches for the man's linen shroud, fingers of water pulling him gently, as if asking a question. A child downstream tries to catch a trout with a bent stick and twine. The water darkens. He sees it. The color. Not quite red. Not quite shadow. He steps back, unsettled, stick slipping from his grasp. A dog sniffs the air and retreats. The magistrate lowers the scroll. His expression is unchanged. He has seen worse. Or perhaps, this is the worst because it is ordinary. The town will forget soon enough. The baker will raise his shutters. The tannery will begin work before the sun sets. But the river will remember. A bell tolls in the distance, 3 slow chimes. The priest's voice drones within stone walls, blessing bread and soul alike. But out here, there is no blessing. Only disposal. Only the empty space between justice and fear. The crowd disperses slowly. Women gather their skirts. Men sheath their knives. Some make the sign of the cross, uncertain if it's for the dead or themselves. One boy lingers. He stares at the floating form until his mother yanks him by the wrist. "Don't look," she hisses. He does not understand, but he obeys. The water pulls the body into its arms. The cloth drags behind like seaweed. The head bobs once. Twice. Then turns toward the current, eyes closed. The magistrate does not watch. He's already walking away, boots clicking in rhythm with the jailer's fading hum. And then, silence again. But not peace. Not forgiveness. The river bends around a cluster of rocks. Between 2 of them, a flower grows. Scarlet, delicate, its petals sharp as blade tips. It shouldn't bloom there, not in summer's end, not near such filth. Yet it does. It sways with the current, as if nodding. A witness. The man is gone now, but something remains. Not his words, those were choked by rope. Not his name, that has been struck from record. But the way the wind shifts near the gallows. The chill in the water downstream. The way villagers glance over their shoulders when no one is near. In the chapel that night, the priest will pause mid-psalm and forget why. A wife will weep for a husband she could not save, even with silence. And in the boy's dreams, the river will speak, not with words, but with the rhythm of the jailer's throat and the weight of unburied things. The kingdom will say order is restored. But somewhere beyond the hill, a page is turned. Someone writes his name again, just once, behind a half-stone. And in that small act, unseen, unsanctioned, a seed of rebellion takes root. Because shame cannot float forever. Eventually, the river delivers everything back. The wind smells of fish brine and broken promises. Morning does not come gently to the marketplace. It arrives cold, impatient, veiled in mist that wraps around crates and robed like a mourner's shawl. From the sea, gulls cry as if warning of what's to come, but no one listens. In the heart of the bailey, the pillory waits, its wood slick with dew, its hinges sweeping rust. Beside it, a guard stands watch, arms folded across his chest, eyes unfocused. He's been here before. They all have. He will not remember the name. A basket is carried across the courtyard by a watchman. It is lined with coarse linen, the kind used to wrap barley or the date. From inside, a girl stirs. Her limbs are too small for resistance. Her body, barely 9 winters old, is draped in a homespun tunic dyed with crushed berries. It should be cheerful, but now it's a flag of sorrow. She is placed gently, almost reverently, into the wooden stocks. Her face, pale as milk, rises to meet the sky through the carved opening. Her arms extend through the other 2 holes, pinioned like a broken bird. The wood bites her skin. She does not cry. Not yet. Her eyes are too wide for sound, mirrors cracked by something deeper than pain. Her silence is unnatural, too heavy for a child. Around her, the market buzzes with uneasy stillness. Stalls are abandoned mid-transaction. Baskets of limp fish steam in the early light. A man selling herbs pauses, tucks a sprig of rosemary behind his belt, and looks away. Somewhere a child coughs. Somewhere else, a knife is sharpened against stone. She has not stolen gold or bread. Her crime was speech. A story, they say. Told too loudly, too boldly. A tale of a saint who bled from her wrists and grew wings of fire. A tale that questioned the priest's sermon. A tale that reminded people they were once free. But here, in this place, truth is not weighed by its beauty or its wisdom. It is measured in obedience. The magistrate arrives without hurry. His robes are of grey wool, his boots lined with ox hide. He carries no scroll, no sermon. Only a blade. It gleams, kissed by the cold. He kneels beside her. His voice is low, almost kind. You must not speak lies, he says. Not ever again. He dips the knife into a clay bowl filled with brine, salt stinging the air. The blade trembles for just a moment, then steadies. Her mother stands beyond the crowd. Face taut. Hands clenched. Her body leans forward, but her feet do not move. The chain of shame and survival is strong. She bites the inside of her cheek until blood fills her mouth. The knife cuts. A sound escapes the girl, not a scream, but a threadbare cry, high and thin, like wind through a cracked shutter. The magistrate is careful. Precise. He does not rush. Salt and metal, flesh and silence, these are the tools of governance. The blade lifts again, clean and red. The girl's cry fades into a wet gasp. Her chin drips crimson. Her eyes roll upward, not in faint, but in search of something, mercy, perhaps, or God. The magistrate sighs. He wipes the knife on the hem of his robe and whispers in Latin, Veritas sign voce. Truth without a voice. Someone in the crowd turns their back. Another drops their basket. A woman crosses herself and looks at the sky. The bell rings once. Its note is low, stretched. It moves through the marketplace like breath after a sob, lingering where it's not welcome. The moment it fades, the world seems colder. The child is unfastened from the pillory. Her hands dangle. Her mouth is bound with a cloth steeped in vinegar and ash. It smells like the sick room. Her lips twitch, but cannot part. The blood has stopped, but her silence has begun. Her mother breaks therein. She pushes forward through the murmuring crowd and gathers her child in both arms. The girl's body curls into her chest like a leaf returning to soil. One tear slips down her cheek, only one, and her eyes close. The crowd parts, not out of respect, but out of discomfort. None want to meet the girl's face again. None want to carry that silence into their sleep. A man mutters, "She's only a child." Another replies, "Then she should have known better." Truth flickers between them and vanishes. A blackbird lands on a nearby stall. It pecks once at spilled grain, looks around with sharp black eyes, then flies off again, its wings slicing the air like the knife before it. The sun has risen fully now, but it offers no warmth. The sky glows rose and gold, but those colors belong to beauty, not justice. Justice here is dull and wet and quiet. The magistrate departs. The blade is cleaned again, dried on a cloth, returned to its sheath. The pillory remains. No new prisoner replaces her. No words are spoken. But everyone feels the shape of what was done. It lingers, heavier than the smell of blood or salt. It lives now in the way a merchant closes his stall. In the way a child stares too long at nothing. In the tightness of a mother's grip. The girl will live. But part of her voice, her laughter, her questioning, her belief in the fairness of grown men, has been carved away. That night, her mother will tuck her into a straw mattress and whisper songs from before the war. The girl will not reply, but she will listen. She will memorize every word, every melody. Her mouth may be quiet, but her memory will not be. And in time, she will write her stories in charcoal behind the chapel. She will teach others in secret. Because truth, when wounded, does not die. It waits. And in the space between lashes, in the shadow of the pillory, it begins to grow teeth. Tomorrow, a different prisoner will arrive, a man who dared keep books. But tonight, beneath the rose-stained sky, the air tastes of regret. And the pillory stands empty. Watching. Waiting. Silent. But not forgotten. The earth is still, but not silent. Before dawn, it hums, a low, restless murmur held in breath, in heartbeat, in the deep-soaked ground. The field lies open and wide beyond the castle walls, ringed by frost-kissed hedgerows and rows of watching soldiers. At its center, mud waits patiently, thick with old roots and spilled things. And above it, a crossbeam of timber, darkened with rain, raised like an altar for memory and penance. A drum begins. Not a march. A mourning. Its beat is slow and wide, a single sound stretched long between each strike, like a heart trying not to feel. The drummer, wrapped in grey wool, does not look up. His face is streaked with coal ash. His rhythm is steady, ancient. Every beat drags time forward like a stone through wet sand. They come then. 7 men. Bare-chested, barefoot, kneeling in rows. Their backs bowed, their hands tied behind them with rope that still smells of the salt water it was soaked in. They sink into the mud, their knees swallowed by the earth, their breath clouding in the morning chill. These are not common men. Not thieves. Not vagrants. These are oath-breakers, lords and sons of lords, knights who once feasted beside kings. Now they wear nothing but shame, skin, and silence. Each body bristles with vulnerability. Spine sharp beneath skin. Scars crossing scars like maps. One mutters a prayer. Another swallows bile. A third closes his eyes and sees only faces, his daughters, his brothers, his own reflection shattered in a silver goblet on the night he betrayed his name. The sun begins to rise. It comes slow, cautious, amber through a veil of pale clouds. Light strikes the leather flails first, hung beside the beam, trimmed in bronze rings shaped like knuckles. Each loop is oiled. Each knot tied by hand. They glint. They wait. A command is given. And the first lash falls. It lands with a sound older than words. A slap. A crack. Then silence. No screams. Only breath, sharp and sudden. Another. Eunice. A second. Duo. The flails strike in rhythm with the Latin count. 1, 2, 3. Each number notched into the air with blood. Mud jumps beneath their knees. The lash tears not only skin, but allegiance. Once broken, the body remembers what it was tied to. Each man fights to stay upright, not for pride, but for meaning. For redemption. For family members hidden behind hedgerows, forced to watch in secret, their hands clamped over mouths to smother sobs. The magistrate watches. His cloak is lined in ermine, mockery woven into fur. The sigil on his chest is bright, gold-threaded, a lion devouring a star. He speaks in Old French, sharp and clear. You swore. Before God, and crown, and heaven's breath. The lashing continues. 10. 15. 20. The flesh gives way. Red rivulets trace down their sides. Blood soaks into the ropes and drips into the soil. The earth drinks deeply, as if remembering every oath uttered upon it. Still, they do not cry out. They grit their teeth and look forward. Some hum hymns. Others recite names, wives, sons, saints. The priest approaches at the 30th lash. He does not intervene. His eyes are pale, his fingers press over the vellum of a bound book, his voice low, muttering Latin verses with no plea for mercy. This is not a prayer for the saved. This is a ritual for the marked. Each lash is a sacrament, each cry stifled a confession. At the 40th count, one man slumps. He does not fall. But his forehead kisses the beam, and he does not rise. At 50, the sun stands tall, and the punishment ends. The flails are lowered, dripping. The executioner wipes his brow and steps back. The ropes are cut. One by one, the men collapse forward. Not dead, but something near it, souls spilled beside their blood. Their armor lies beside them. Polished breastplates turn dull with spatter. Chainmail bunched like snakes. Helms, once kissed by noble lips, now dented and red. No one touches them. The armor lies as it is, sacred and ruined. A young squire steps forward. He is barely 14, and his hands shake. But he kneels beside each man, carrying a strip of linen in his pouch. He braids each one carefully, twisting crimson threads into white cloth, armbands of shame, tokens of repentance. He presses them into calloused, shaking palms. He speaks softly. You are not broken. Some do not reply. One nods. One weeps silently. The breeze shifts. It carries the scent of everything, blood, mud, sweat, and something else. The green of wet fields. The beginning of spring. Beyond the hedgerows, family members rise from hiding. Some step forward. Others retreat. A woman clasps a bloodstained tunic to her chest. A boy sobs, but does not understand why. Somewhere, a father whispers the name of a son he no longer recognizes. The wind lifts the ropes, their ends fraying. They sway gently, no longer taut, no longer cruel. And near the base of the crossbeam, where the ropes once pulled tight and cut skin, a small green vine begins to rise. It is thin, fragile. But it winds upward, curling toward light, wrapping around wood soaked in pain. Its leaves shimmer in the new sun. Alive. Determined. No one sees it yet. But it grows all the same. Because roots do not ask permission. They take hold where wounds were left. And even in a field of disgrace, something begins again. The men are helped to their feet. They are clothed in simple robes, grey and rough spun. They will walk back into the keep, not as traitors, not yet as forgiven, but as marked men. They will be watched, tested, whispered about. But they are not finished. And neither is what they believe. A reckoning has not come yet. But its seeds are buried deep now, fed by lash and oath and silence. One day, they will bloom. A silver dawn seeps across the eastern ridge, staining the stone fields and frost-laced hedges in a pale, sacred light. The wind holds its breath as if even nature has paused, waiting, watching. In the far corner of the village, where ash settles in gutters and the sound of hammering once marked the rhythm of day, a forge awakens not with clangs of labor, but with the slow hiss of coals and the pulse of something older. He enters alone. No guard flanks him. No chains drag behind. Only the rasp of his boots across gravel and the weight of his own silence. The blacksmith does not greet him. He doesn't need to. This ceremony has no need of words. It has already been spoken, in parchment torn, in oaths broken, in a letter from the castle stamped with wax and exile. The squire places his hand into the waiting manacles, iron, unadorned, bolted to the forger's post. The cuff closes around his wrist with a dull click, final and familiar. A fire burns before him, low and steady, fed through the night by the blacksmith's unseen hands. In its heart, a single rod of iron glows. At its tip, the letter F, formed in hard steel, forged for flesh, not armor. He lifts the brand. It trembles between his fingers, molten with consequence. His breath is shallow, controlled, like a man before battle, not against enemies, but against the self. His vision swims in the heat, the smoke curling upward, reading his face like incense in a cathedral where mercy has been long forgotten. He turns the iron toward his own cheek and presses. The hiss that follows is not loud. It is intimate, almost gentle. A kiss of fire against skin. But what it leaves behind is not love. It is permanence. Flesh bubbles. Muscle recalls. His eyes clam shut, not from fear, but from memory. He does not scream. Instead, he whispers through clenched teeth, "Me esto." Remember this. The villagers are already gathered, silent shapes standing in the forger's mouth, veiled in smoke and judgment. They do not speak. They do not comfort. But they do not look away. Not from the scar that rises, red and blistered, nor from the squire's trembling hand that releases the brand and dips it again into boiling water. A hiss. A sizzle. The iron reborn. He lifts it once more. The second letter waits, oh, oath-breaker. This time, he falters. Not from doubt. From pain. His knees bend slightly. The manacle bites into his wrist. He steadies himself, breathes deep the smoke and iron and ash. His lips twitch, not into a smile, but something harder. Resignation made flesh. He presses the brand again, this time to the opposite cheek. It sticks a moment too long. When he pulls it away, a ribbon of skin clings to the iron's edge before curling and vanishing into smoke. The smell is unbearable, copper and charred bone, memory and mourning. The villagers remain still. One child turns his face into his mother's skirt. Another man removes his cap. A woman mutters a prayer, her fingers trembling too fast to finish the cross. The blacksmith finally moves. He steps forward, eyes narrowed, hands bare. He does not touch the squire. Instead, he blows into the embers until they dance again. Sparks rise like fireflies, wild, purposeless, beautiful. When the last one fades, the forge falls quiet. The work is done. The squire kneels. His breath hitches, but he does not collapse. He places 2 fingers, bloodied, blistered, upon each brand. Then, slowly, reverently, he brings them to his lips. The taste is metallic, bitter. A mix of pain, resolve, and something else. Truth. He turns to the crowd. His face is a mad now, etched not by time, but by choice. Not even punishment. This was no sentence from king or priest. This was something deeper. A restoration by fire. A sacrifice to memory. He stands. His legs shake beneath him, barely stitched to willpower. But he does not fall. The manacle clatters open and dangles beside him, forgotten. The sun is higher now. The forge's smoke rises into it like a song. Above, a hawk circles once, slicing through the sky. Its cry pierces the hush like prophecy. The villagers part without word or gesture. And he walks through them. Some avert their eyes, unsure if they behold a monster or a martyr. Others stare openly, as if memorizing his face, the lines of the letters, the way shame can be shaped into something fierce. A few feel something stir within. Not admiration. Not even sorrow. Just a deep, gnawing fear that perhaps they would not have had the courage to do what he has done. He reaches the edge of the yard and pauses. Behind him, the blacksmith douses the coals with a ladle of water. Steam billows, thick and sweet, like incense escaping the altar of old sins. The squire does not look back. His scars will go with him, through cities that will whisper behind gloved hands, through courts that will measure his worth not by deeds, but by wounds. He will kneel before the king again. Not to beg, but to prove. To show that he has already passed through fire, and did not scream. He will carry his mark like a standard. His cheek, his brand, his memory. And in that memory, a question will burn. Who are we without our shame? And what becomes of a man who dares to brand himself, not to deny his crime, but to own it? He walks away from the forge. The smoke drifts after him, not condemning, not forgiving. Just following. Like a ghost made of ash. Like a prayer waiting to be heard.